Okay, so this took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to, slash had anticipated it taking. But I don't know, it was kind of fun, so whatever. I got a lot of questions, and I literally just spent like the last hour like typing out my responses because I had tried to like just give answers in the spur of the moment, and it didn't work at all. So anyway, how this is gonna work is basically I'm gonna do a quick introduction, and then I'll probably flash the questions like up on the video, and then like give you a time that you can skip to the next one if you want, if you don't like care about one question or something like that. Yeah. So if you don't know who I am, hi, my name is Safika. Tumblr user Too Much Sky. Um, I decided to do an FAQ video, partly to show off my new haircut, which I am still debating on whether I like it or not because part of me likes it and the other part of me feels like I look like a mushroom. So, like, I don't know. Whatever. I'll get over it. And B, because I really like hearing myself talk. Okay, so anyway, first question. So, okay, it only looks like I study a lot of things because both of my majors have an and in them. So it's like international relations and politics and policy and management with a minor in computer science. And it just sounds like it's so much, but it's just a double major with a minor. Like, it's okay. It's a mouthful though. But anyway, so I love my major. Like, I really, really enjoy doing international relations and policy management at the same time. And I really, really enjoy that. One small caveat when I am answering this question, though, is that so Carnegie Mellon offers a Bachelor's of Science in International Relations and Politics and Policy Management. While most schools would probably offer a Bachelor's of Arts. So a lot of what I'm saying is probably going to be kind of different than what other schools would offer. So a lot of my coursework is much more quantitative and like much more about like modeling and like statistical, like methodology, which also seeps into like the research part of the major than a lot of other schools might be. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to let you know. As for course load, it's a lot of it's stats. One of the core classes that we have to take is decision processes in American political institutions, which is literally just AP US history all over again. Compared to politics, which is like kind of like a worldwide look at like how political systems work. Policy analysis 1 and 2 for policy management. I loved those classes. Policy analysis 1 was a drag, but that was mainly because of the professor. But it's a really, really cool way into looking how economics can transfer into the policy sphere and like how to create reforms that will actually do what you want them to do in the real world. It's really, really great. I love it. We just finished up a unit on education and healthcare reform and social security reform, and I finally learned how those systems actually work. Not education, I know how education works, but healthcare and social security I had no idea before, so that was really cool. Empirical research methods, theories of international relations, and one of the other cool classes that we get to take is decision analysis. So it's basically like a modeling class on like how you make decision trees and like how people make decisions and stuff like that. So that's essentially what my coursework looks like. There's also a language requirement. It basically means I have to take 4 semesters of Spanish, which is a language I chose to take. So yeah, it's a heavy course load, but it's doable. And again, it depends on like what else you're doing and what the department looks like at the school that you're going to. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of writing. No matter where you go, it's going to be a lot of reading and a lot of writing because there's a lot of research out there. There's a lot of like stuff out there already on a lot of these materials that you're going to be talking about. And it's actually a lot of like keeping up with the news as well. And sometimes you don't have time to as a college student, but it's like really important. And I know that a lot of programs in political science and like policy and things like that also usually offer like a DC semester, which is something that I did, and I would highly, highly recommend doing that if you're interested in something like this, or even just interning in DC over the summer or something like that. Just being in DC will definitely help you figure out what it is that you want to do in this field if you don't already know. It's really great. I really would recommend it. I worked at a think tank on education policy, and it's a really good opportunity to do. And most schools have that kind of program in place right now. And if your school doesn't, then you can like always do it over the summer or something if you're still interested. As for research, most classes do make you write like an end of the semester research paper. So it's usually going to be like 10 to 13 pages of like, whatever you're interested in that came from the class or something like that. So like, I mean, I wrote a paper on like social media and like revolutions and things like that. So there's a lot of room to like explore what you're interested in within these constructs that are and like foundations that are already there, which is really, really cool. You can also do research outside of class with like a professor that you're interested in. So usually they'll have like research panels or something like that, or if a professor's talking about the research that they're doing and it seems really interesting, just go up and like talk to them and like ask them what they're interested in, or if they'd be willing to like hire you as a research assistant or something. It's like I did research on agent-based modeling, which is essentially like a computational modeling system on to look at how social phenomena play out in like the real world. It's really interesting. I really like it. It's basically you take like little agents and you give them like different variables and like propositions, and you put them out in the real world of the computer model and see how they interact with different agents and stuff like that. And it's really cool. But you can do research on things like that. You can do it on just like like how this country interacts with other countries. I know one of my friends is writing a honors thesis on immigration into the EU and like looking at that and stuff like that. Like it's there's a lot to discuss and talk about, and you can definitely do most of that. As for classes being controversial, they definitely have the potential to get controversial. Like there's a lot that you discuss, and they definitely have the potential to be controversial, especially when talking about different countries. Here at Carnegie Mellon, they rarely do, because we're a really apolitical campus, and a lot of the people that do the IRP major or policy major are very liberal, or at least like moderately liberal, that you wouldn't really need to get in an argument with them. The policy class is a little different because it's about like views come out much more openly in a class like that. So it depends. My advice would be to try out a class or two when you get to college, or if you're already there, try out a class or two. Like the basic like foundation level like courses, I would say. And talk to your advisors, talk to the advisor of the department, talk to your advisor, talk to different students that are doing that and things like that. Because it really does depend on like where you end up going. Because there's no way I would have had an experience like I did at another school, I feel like. So yeah, that's that. Okay, so it's good that we're talking about college because I can just segue right into the next question, which is college, applying for colleges. Okay, so applying to college sucks. Like, it really does. There's really no way of getting around that. Sorry. Also, these earrings are they're like swinging, really. It's kind of fun. My advice would be to not do what I did and do as much research as possible. Like, take the time to do the research. You have to first decide, like, and also narrowing down your choices helps a lot. So I would say don't apply to more than like 5 to 7 schools. I applied to 13, and that was unnecessary and excessive. I did not need to do that. So narrow down your choices. First, decide if you want to do a state school or a private school, if you want to go to community college first, that kind of stuff. If you have a major already in mind, like, that'll help you narrow down your choices as well, because you can, like, decide, like, which programs are good and, like, what schools and things like that. Also use, like, websites like College Prowler and things like that to, like, see your chances of, like, getting into different schools and stuff like that. So, like, do the whole, like, 3-2-1 model where it's, like, you want 3 target schools, which you're pretty sure you'll get into, that you want to get into, that kind of thing. that are like at your level, sort of. One safety school, definitely do have that safety school, and two reach schools that you're not sure if you'll get into, but it's worth applying to because they're good. That kind of stuff. So, yeah. I would say narrowing down your choices really helps. Visiting the colleges that you like. Don't visit colleges you don't like because it's just unnecessary stress and it's excessive and you really just don't need to do that. So yeah, like I mean, my parents dragged me out to like colleges I didn't care about, and I still like didn't care about them even after visiting. So like it just and also I mean, speaking of that, it's just like keep in mind that this is your process, right? Like college is your thing. It's your process. It's about you. Like this is where you are going to spend the rest of like the next 4 years of your life. Like this, take consideration for like what other people have to say. Like, like take advice as needed. And like, your parents obviously have a say if they're like helping you and like, like paying for college and things like that. But also, just keep in mind that this is about you. This is your life and where you're going to spend the next 4 years of your life and the foundation that you're going to take for the rest of your life then. Just keep that in mind that this is about you. This is your process. And it really has to be a centering process about you, right? So keep that in mind. And yeah, and on that note, like just keep in mind that like you're gonna end up happy wherever you go. You'll find your niche, you'll find a place, you're gonna end up happy wherever you end up going. So don't stress out too much. Obviously try and pick the best option of the ones that you have, but don't stress too much because it'll be fine. You will get to the point where you're in a college that you love with friends that you love and doing a major that you really like and things like that. Other advice would be to start your applications early. People will probably tell you that until like their dying breath. And I didn't listen, and I really should have, because the best way to like de-stressify the whole process and the whole situation is to take it in smaller chunks and do like as little as possible for like a long period of time, because I promise you, starting your applications early will make the whole thing much less painful. And yeah, on that note too, get like 10 million different people to read your essays and to read all of your answers for the short answer questions on Common App and things like that. Just get like 10 million different people to do it. It's so necessary. It's so important. Like you just really need all the feedback that you can get on that. And I took notes. Sorry, give me a second. Just need to make sure I got everything. Oh yeah, and like I said, keep in mind this is about you, but at the same time, get as much advice as you possibly can from everyone around you, like your parents, people that you know that are in colleges that you want to go to, teachers, like your favorite teachers or something, guidance counselors, advisors, that kind of thing. Talk to people at the college too. Like if you go to visit, talk to them. I didn't either, and I really regret that. Like I wish I had. The students that are there because they want to help you. Because I mean, they're getting paid for it, but they're there because they want to help. So talk to them, ask them all the questions that you have. Like don't leave with a lingering thought still in your head. It's hard because it's like terrifying to ask random strangers, right? But like it's really important. And yeah, like talk to the advisors there and the admissions counselors there. They're there to help you. They really are. So yeah, that would be my advice for that. Okay, next question. Judicial review. I have so many feelings on judicial review and about judicial review. So first of all, it is nowhere in the Constitution that judges have the right to do what they do with the Constitution and with the different laws. Like literally nowhere in the Constitution. It's nowhere at all. Like the Supreme Court constitutionally has no power to do anything that it's doing right now, which is hilarious to me. Madison literally took it and was like, here's the deal, bitches, take it or leave it. Like, this is what we're gonna do. And like everyone just kind of ran with it. That's what happened, which is hilarious to me. It's just so funny because the Supreme Court has this immense power to decide whether laws are constitutional or unconstitutional, and that's nowhere in the Constitution that they have the power to do that. And it's also like we gave this immense responsibility and all of this power to 9 undemocratically elected like people, 9 justices who we know almost nothing about, who we didn't elect, nothing. And that is just overwhelming, and it's so fascinating to me that that happened and that we're still doing that. You know what I mean? It's just so much power for 9 people. And it's not like because they're like trained in legal studies or whatever, they're going to be like all about the law all the time. Like there's so many studies that say like no, judges like put their own, you know, priorities and their own, you know, political thinking into these case laws all the time. And it's funny to me because I think that like the Supreme Court has a way of seeing where the tide of public opinion is about to go and then like making decisions based off of that. So it's very dependent on public opinion, and it's also very dependent on what Congress thinks, actually, because Congress doesn't have any sort of authority, like it doesn't have any incentive to actually do what the Supreme Court says to do either. Like the Supreme Court doesn't have an army, it can't enforce its decisions. Like all it can do is say, hey, don't do this, maybe, like possibly, maybe, you know, and the rest of us either have to obey it or choose not to, and there's nothing the Supreme Court can do about that. It's happened in the past, like Andrew Jackson with Trail of Tears, like that was unconstitutional as deemed by the Supreme Court, and Jackson fucking did it anyway because Jackson, it was a dick, and B, was like, bitch please, like I'm gonna do what I want to do, like stop me if you can, and they couldn't because the Supreme Court can't do that. And the other thing is, too, they would lose legitimacy then, too, right? So, like, you know, the Supreme Court made a decision that said this law that Congress passed is unconstitutional. And Congress was like, fuck you, and, like, decided not to do anything about it and was still enforcing it. Supreme Court would lose its face, like, lose face, basically, because it would lose legitimacy because there's nothing they could do about it, you know? And the fact that the system works so perfectly, all right, you know what I mean? And not perfectly maybe, but that it works and has worked for so long with all of these caveats in place is just so interesting, and I really, really wish that I knew more about it. Like, I just wish that I could, like, do that all the time. Anyway, that's my feelings on that. I have a lot more, too, but this is already going to get way too long. So, college applications as well. I kind of answered this already, but so it's horrifying and it's really, really dreadful, but also it's like exciting, right? Like it's really, really exciting. This is the next stage of your life. This is the next chapter. It's really scary to think about how in the next year or two you're going to be somewhere completely different that you don't know yet. But that's kind of exciting too, where it's like all of this is going to happen in such little time, and you're going to be making these decisions that are going to affect the rest of your life, but you're making decisions that are going to be affecting the rest of your life, and you're going to be making them as you, as a real person. You know what I mean? And this is the first time that you really get a choice in where you go to school and a choice in like what you do with your education. And this is kind of the culmination of like all of your 12 years of education that you've done so far, and that's just, it's kind of exciting too, right? So like just remember that this is exciting. This is a new stage of your life that you may or may not be ready for, but if you take it with stride and like, you know, are excited about it, I think it's going to be a lot less painful. It's going to be a lot more painless, and you're just going to enjoy it more, you know? Just like, I don't know. It's hard. I know it is. It's really, really hard, and it sucks. I mean, I'm looking at this, like looking back on it, like 3 years in the past, because holy shit, it's been 3 years since I applied to college. But it's also, yeah, it's an exciting time, and I think that sometimes the dread and the nerves of it kind of cancel out the excitement of it, but I also think that it's exciting, and I think that's important to keep in mind too, and that might help. I don't know. Sorry, that was not the greatest answer to that, but yeah, okay, so Math SAT 2, yes, I did take it, but I took it, so I actually took the SAT 2, Math SAT, oh my god, okay, so I took all of my SAT 2 tests, like the subject test, the same year that I took the AP test in them, so I didn't actually study specifically for the SAT 2 test in math. because I was studying for the AP test, and then I was like, whatever, like, I'll just take this one too. I would say take a lot of practice tests. Take Barron's practice tests, like invest in like a book of like Barron's, like the Barron's like AP test, or not AP, SAT2 prep book in math or whatever. Because Barron's practice tests are always, always, always like harder than the real test. So if you do well on those, you'll be fine for the real one. So yeah, invest in Barron's. I would really think that's a good idea. Wow, this is getting really long already. Okay, so next question. Hikaru no Go and Hunter x Hunter. So I think that Gon and Akira would actually get along really, really, really well. They both have that like drive and that passion in them, you know what I mean? And I think they would just understand each other really well. Like Akira would be like go, 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 and Gon would be like, yes, I feel that, like, yeah. Killua would probably understand Akari's like obsession with like Hikaru pretty well. The whole like, you know, like, I need you to be better at this, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would be something that Killua was like, oh, like, that's familiar, I get that. Gon would probably be the first one that Hikaru tells about Sai. I feel like, even before Akira, I want to say, because Gon wouldn't judge him or not believe him or anything like that. Like, Hikaru, like, Gon is just so soft and, like, just such a child, you know what I mean? And Hikaru would just understand that, and I think they would really bond on that, I think. While Killua and Hikaru would nerd out about, like, the same things, probably, and do, like, skateboard together and, like, do losery things like that, because they're both losers and dorks, but it's fine. Sai would hate Jing. Like, literally, Sai would be like, what the fuck? Like, who are you, and how dare you do this to your kid? And, like, no, you can't have him anymore. He's mine now. And, like, why are you such a terrible dad? I'm taking over. Like, Gon is mine. I'm gonna raise him now. Yeah, that's how that would go, I feel like. Okay, next question. My favorite musical is Newsies, besides Les Mis, obviously. No, I feel like Newsies is actually more my favorite than Les Mis is. Newsies is just such, it's the whole, you know, like, little, like, ragtag team of people come together, and there's that one outsider dude that comes in and, like, changes, and, like, you know, like, the little brother character, and I love that. And the songs are just so catchy, and, like, I love it. I love that musical so much. Why did I choose my major, and what keeps me with it? That's actually a funny story, because I did not actually choose, well, I sort of chose my major. Sort of. So, second semester freshman year, my current advisor now, sent me a email and was like, hey, a lot of the classes that you've taken seem to fit in with the IRP major. Like, do you want to do this? Like, or think about it or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And, like, IRP works for law school, which is what I was planning on doing at that point. So, like, why not? And then later on, I think, like, last year, second semester, sophomore year, I was like, oh, just kidding. I actually think policy and management is, like, where I would, like, end up if I hadn't jumped on the IRP train so quickly. I feel like policy management would be the major that I, like, you know, kind of, like, found myself in. So then I added it as a double major, and everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's you, like, they're the same thing. Why would you do that? And I was like, shut up. So yeah, that's a funny story with that. That's why I chose it. I really want to change the world and make a difference and whatever. And, like, a couple weeks ago was the first time that I, like, even voiced it to myself that I would want to run for, like, office one day. And I really think that IRP and, like, policy management would be, like, the reasons that, or would be the majors that give me the background and information that I would need to be able to do something like that. Policy management specifically because it combines two of the things I'm already interested in, is policy and, like, management. And policy itself is just really, really exciting to me. Like, I really like the idea of looking at something and, like, analyzing the policy and, like, what its effect has been on, like, the real world, and then, like, looking at reforms, and then, like, using things like economics and, like, you know, computation models or, like, whatever else, and, like, survey data even, and, like, you know, like, doing that. If I'm stranded on a desert island, the 3 books I would want with me are Heart of Darkness, because it is my favorite book, The Song of Achilles, because, you know, like, if I need water, I can just cry my tears and drink that. That makes no sense biologically, but, like, whatever. It might be the first time that I could actually read it without crying if I'm dehydrated from being on a desert island. Um, Les Mis would probably be the third one because it is large enough that I could probably use it as kindling for years, probably, and like make the biggest fire ever using that book, probably. Also, I mean, it's so long that I could, read it for years, probably too. Anyway, so I should talk about Arxis Media. Right. So Arxis Media is a media company that my friend Taryn and I are starting up. And so basically the idea is that we're dedicated to creating real media for real people. And we do this by creating media by, for, and about marginalized people. We're trying to stay away from pigeonholing ourselves as alternative media because once you do that, no one takes you seriously. But essentially, our mission is to create genre fiction that it just happens to take into account that the world is not made up of cis white straight guys, essentially. So yeah, right. We're launching April 8th, actually, with a novella, the first novella in like a series of novellas called Cronalis, the Aqueous Solution, and it's basically like this. Can be like paranormal, like monster hunting story, and it's really cool. It's fun. It's like, I mean, obviously I've read it. I didn't write it, Taryn wrote it, but I read it, and it's fun to read. It's like kind of nice. Yeah, we'll be putting up the first chapter as a preview after launch. So if you're interested, you should definitely take a look. Check us out. I'll put a link in the description below to the. I don't know how YouTube works, whatever. At some point, so like definitely like take a look. Check us out. Follow us on social media and buy the book, maybe. But yeah, that and we're also going to. The other two projects we're working on right now that are upcoming are a serialized comic called Dolce Vita, which is kind of based on the Elizabeth Bathory legend, and Magic, which is the one that I actually wrote. And it's like a high fantasy visual novel game kind of thing. And we're actually looking for video game designers for it right now. So if you want to do that / know someone who is interested in that, hit me up, maybe. But yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Again, link is in the description. Please check us out. We're launching very soon, and yeah, that's happening. So, okay, Les Mis headcanons. Oh my god, I feel like I've been talking for like years. So, okay. Thank you for reading the fic. I'm really glad that you like it. It's gotten a lot more like recognition than I thought it was going to get, and it's really like making me happy, and I really like it. It's just exciting. So, okay, then watching a horror movie. Okay, so it would be Korf and Jahan's idea, first of all. Definitely their idea. And they're the ones would be all like, yeah, let's do it. Let's like have a horror movie night. And everyone else is like, eh. And they're like, no, we have to do this. Jahan specifically. But as soon as it starts, Jahan would be the one like criticizing all the special effects and like rolling their eyes at like the blood and like because it's just so like cheesy and like fake and awful. And like Korf would be the one like slowly like clutching on to like whoever ends up having to be next to him, like the poor soul, and like clutching their arms and like getting closer and closer, and it'd probably end up being Combeferre, honestly. And he's just like regretting every choice that he's made ever in his life. And Fair would be with Jahan in the critiques of the special effects, and like they're just sitting there and like discussing the cinematography and being like, oh, that shot was really great, and like look at that, and like where the movie fits in with the rest of the horror genre, and like during the entire movie basically while Korf is just cuddled between them and like peeking out from under Fair's arm probably, and like Combeferre is just like slowly like rubbing his arm or like playing with his hair or something to like casually like comfort him while Korf is just like, why am I doing this with my life? And then Jolie would be the one that like start like shaking at like the amount of blood that's there, because like obviously he can handle blood, like he's a med student, but it's just like so much gore and like so much of that just like on screen, so it's not even like contained and like sterilized like it is in med school. It's just like gross and like all over the place, and so he's just like freaking out. He's like shaking and stuff, and like, but he's like pretending like it's not happening. He's like, no, I'm okay, like I'll be fine. So Bossuet and Chetta are like, oh, like, I'm so tired and we should go to bed maybe, or like, oh, and Bosway would be like, oh, I'm terrified, I'm so scared, and like pretending to scream or something, just so Jolie can be like, okay, yeah, we can leave if you want, like if you want to, we can leave. And they're like, yeah, let's do that. And they like leave and they drag Jolie away basically. Bahrael is like super all for this horror movie night. He's like, yeah, this is a great idea. And like he like laughs really loudly at like the gory parts because he just finds that hilarious. Like the actual scary parts and everything. But he literally cannot do the suspense scenes. He can't at all. He like jumps at the littlest tiny things and like, you know, like he's just like, oh my god, like he's just on edge all the time. And Fwaley comes in like halfway through the movie at this point because he ended up like taking someone else's shift at work probably and like just had to be late. And so he comes in during one of these suspenseful parts and like inadvertently like terrifies Bahrael into like yelping and like jumping like 5 feet in the air, and he just can't stop laughing about it for the next like 5 minutes probably, where Jehan and Farah are probably like, no shit, like you gotta watch the movie, while Fwaley is just like doubling over in laughter, and Bahrael is like giving him a noogie or something. I don't know. It's just hilarious. Anyway, and then Enjolras and Grantaire would spend the whole movie not actually watching the movie because they're sitting next to each other with their hands like 2 centimeters away from each other, like this or something, right? And then they're just like, holy shit, and literally that's what they're focused on for the whole movie. Like neither of them watch the movie at all. They're just like the litany through both of their heads is like, holy shit, like, fuck, do I reach over? What if our hands brush? Oh my god, like, there's like, what is happening? Oh my god. Yeah, so neither of them ended up watching the movie and just spend the whole movie like that, essentially, because they're dorks and neither of them know how to communicate. It's embarrassing. It's okay. As for them watching the Disney movie, the triumvirate, like Enjolras, Fair, and Corf would definitely be the ones to sing along to like every single song, loudly sing along to every single song. While Grantaire and then Jolie, Bosway, and Chetta are like making puns through the whole the whole movie. And they always end up watching more than one movie in one sitting because that's just the only way to watch Disney movies in capital letters, says Courfeyrac. While Bahrael's favorite characters are always the anime sidekicks, like always the animal sidekicks. I almost said anime sidekicks, and now I want to kill myself. It's fine. Jehan loves the love scenes. Like he just like sighs contentedly and like clutches at their heart and like, you know, like all of this stuff like dramatically like through the whole movie, and then like, and Fwaley always cries at the end every single time without fail. He cries at the end, and Bahrael makes fun of him for it incessantly. Anyway. Okay, next question. First name headcanon. So, okay, like, I have a couple, but, like, I don't know. Okay, so I'll just say this. These are, like, very wishy-washy right now. I'm not, like, sure about it yet. So, definitely, like, I feel like, okay, I'm going to say definitely a lot in this, but, like, it's not, like, definitely. Alexander, or, like, Francois for Enjolras, probably. Christophe, or, like, Remy for Corf. Antoine for Combeferre is the only one that I'm, like, yes, that's right. Antoine Combeferre, like, that is. Bahrael would definitely have the first name as, like, Eugene, or, like, some, like, Xavier, or, like, some bullshit like that, and he would just, like, hate it, and, like, hate himself. And at least one of them is definitely named Guy. It's probably Fwaley is probably named Guy. And for Grantaire, I want to say it's like Pierre or like Mathieu or something. And I'm also like 100% a fan of they're all named Jean in some respect. Headcanon. I really like that headcanon a lot. Okay, so the title of the first 5 chapters of my autobiography would be Chapter 1, My Mission Statement, which I still have yet to write. It's fine. Chapter 2, How I Found Myself at the Intersection, because that is, I feel like, a large part of my life. Chapter 3, Fantasies in Childhood, because that was a huge part of my childhood and my everyday life now, but, you know, whatever. Chapter 4, Assimilation in Teenage Years. Chapter 5, Everyone Told Me I Could Do Anything. No one told me I didn't have to do everything. The College Years. Thought about that a lot, actually. Top 3 mythical creatures and monsters to transform into. Top would be an adult dragon. The second top would be a baby dragon. The third one would be an old dragon, because they have lots of stories, and, maybe they get tired flying a lot, but, like, they have a lot of stories and, like, a lot of life, So dragon, or dragon. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. But, like, the other ones would probably be, like, a Pegasus or, like, a centaur or, like, a mermaid would be the next on the list. But dragon, essentially. And then last one. Okay, so, I don't run, but, when I do, I listen to my Sick Puppies station. So, like, I listen to metal and screamo, basically, and I listen to Sick Puppies because it's, like, very, like, harsh and, like, hard music, so I'm like, yeah, oh my god, okay, I gotta run now. Or I listen to my Two Steps from Hell radio, because it's, like, instrumental, but it's, like, super, like, I don't know, it's, like, filmy instrumental. I don't know, it's, like, really, like, intense, and so I'm like, oh my god, okay. And I have my Life Fall Out Boy radio, like, attached to that one, too, so, like, sometimes they get mixed up, but anyway. So, wow, holy shit, that is a super long FAQ video. I think it probably is, like, over a half hour at this point. That's fine. Thanks for listening, if you listen to even, like, any part of it. So, yeah, thanks. Bye, guys. Thanks for asking, too. This was fun.